It is after 8 o'clock, Kontending football. We are live week 3 in the league where they play. Hey, Joey Baboots, James Flippin here with you. 855-908-5668. 855 I like that little jazz intro there we got going on. Shout out to Erica for laying down the nice little intro there for the show. But we're back for another week. It is it's Sunday night. We waited all day for Sunday night. Not true. Our team played earlier today. It was a disaster. We'll get into that. We'll go around the league. We have some hot button issues to talk about. We're going to get into a very important debate tonight, James, about booing people. And when it's right to boo people and when it's wrong to boo people. So we're going to talk about booing. And, you know, everything that's going on around the NFL. It was another busy day, another wacky Sunday. Some upsets, some overtime, some bad calls. It's the same thing. If you want to call us, 855-908-5668. But, James, good to see you. You have now a Mets t-shirt and some ridiculous hat. What is that, Miami?
The Miami hat. You know, I got to show love to the
Very
team.
Floral.
Well, it is very floral, but you know what I mean? Like, you got to get some color mixed in with it. You know, we are on Color Cast, so it makes sense that we would have some color mixed into the whole broadcast tonight. But no, you know, Miami was more of like a shout out to the fact that I almost reverse jinxed the Raiders today because I sent the email out with some topics we might get into tonight, all that kind of stuff. And I was appalled when I saw that the Raiders the Dolphins, I should say, completed a 4th and 20 to extend the game against the Raiders today. Obviously, it didn't end up, you know, lasting for the Raiders in terms of that scare, for the Dolphins, I should say. But yeah, no, I had to go with Miami today. I had to rep South Beach.
Whatever. And that wouldn't have been my first choice, but, you know, to each his own, I guess. The big game this afternoon, LA and Tampa. I mean, forget about, I know we talked about this last week. We don't have to get into the whole Brady thing again. But did you see the box score in that game?
I actually watched a lot of that game. Yeah, I mean, look, I just want to say, ever since you said that Tom Brady is like beloved now, he's 0-1. So ever since you made that claim that he's like this beloved American,
yes, he's much more likable now as a Tampa Bay Buck than he was ever with the Patriots. That's correct. I said that.
Which, again, maybe comparatively speaking, that could be true. But no, I mean, look, that game to me really jumps off the map because you look at a situation where the Rams, I feel like, are kind of this team that, you know, with Sean McVay, like, he knew he needed an upgrade at quarterback, right? He knew he needed better than Jared Goff. And Matthew Stafford was like essentially being wasted year after year in Detroit. And I just think that was like the move of the offseason. I know the Rams gave up, like, you know, every single draft pick they have for the next 5 years to basically bring this guy in. But when you see Stafford out there, he's rejuvenated. He's always been an incredible player. I mean, this is a guy that I thought for sure was going to finally maybe bring a Super Bowl to Detroit. And we'll have to get into Detroit later because the way they lost their game today is just absolutely just, silly. I
don't feel bad for them. I don't feel bad.
I mean, look, as a Giants fan, you should.
Yeah, Carolina did that to the Giants. It was like a 64-yarder.
Well, this was a record.
Yeah,
a little worse.
Yeah, we'll get into Justin Tucker later, but with the Matthew Stafford, I mean, wow. I mean, I guess if you put yourself on a team with actual talent and you're not in Detroit, I guess you can win some football games.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Rams are a team that, like I said, I think that they were kind of just like, because even the year they went to the Super Bowl, Goff was not good in that Super Bowl. It was almost like almost a happy to be there type situation where they just got thoroughly outclassed by the Patriots. And I personally would, love to see them make a run with Stafford because he's been one of my favorite players for a long time. I think he's a guy who, like I said, was almost just kind of getting wasted in Detroit. And now has an opportunity to play on a team that really has aspirations of playing in the playoffs. And, we'll see where they go from there.
I would not be surprised if these two teams meet in early January or mid to late January this year.
And the television networks were very fond of pointing out that it was Tom Brady's first game in the Los Angeles area. Like, as if it matters.
I don't know, but there was a big issue with the Bucks, and all you have to do is look at the box score to see why they lost this game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are never going to win a football game when Tom Brady's their leading rusher.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I know that
They
they
didn't run the ball at all.
They went with Fournette, where they've had a lot of kind of back and forth. Whereas Ronald Jones, is he the top dog there in the backfield, or is it Fournette? And they've struggled for whatever reason, really kind of getting their run game going. But I mean, look, that's also the Rams' defense. I mean, their defense is just incredible.
They didn't try. 13 carries, 35 yards as a team. Brady threw the ball 55 times today. It's not going to.
By the way, I'm going
ready to connect. Click connect to show now.
The phones are now open. So
connected as the host.
Call the show.
Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the call-in studio web interface.
I mean, that's just wonderful. I mean, you
think
call set up before the show goes on the air.
Look, there's a lot of stuff to get ready.
There was probably people calling in to start the show.
There may have been. And now they'll have to call again.
You have to try again. 855-908-5668. I mean, we got to talk to our producer after the show. I mean,
we do.
You're doing engineering or not over there? It's never you.
No, we do have to talk to our producer. But yeah, no, look, I think that getting Matthew Stafford by the Rams was just like a brilliant move. I remember when that trade broke in the offseason, and it was kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Stafford going to a contender. Obviously not very nice for Goff to have to go from Los Angeles to Detroit. Both team wise and city. But yeah, no, I think that's a big win for the Rams, and obviously they right now have to be on the short list of top NFC contenders that are looking like somebody that are going to be a tough out. Should they make it all the way to the playoffs. But yeah, no, I think field goals are also a big theme of this whole weekend. And you said you wanted to get into the booing thing. The Giants game, definitely, obviously, one of those games that ended.
I'm not ready to get into it yet. I can't do it yet. I'm not ready for them yet.
Well, we'll leave the booing thing on the buffet table then. But
yeah, we'll come back to that. Let's talk about the biggest surprise, I think, collectively over the last 2 weeks, is that Kansas City, who hadn't lost the game in September in like the last 3 years, now loses back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, it's weird because, I mean, they haven't really been, it's like they said on TV today, they're not playing poorly, but they're losing. Close games, they came back today to, tie it against Los Angeles, and obviously then Los Angeles was able to win it late. Hail Mary attempt came up short for Mahomes, tossing it down the field. And, that's, again, losing at home. The Chargers are a tough team to figure out because Herbert is really kind of coming into his own as one of those guys.
He can play. Herbert could definitely play.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, that's a big win for them. I think, to me, I see that more as like just a big win for the Chargers as opposed to a bad loss for the Chiefs. But, I think it also doesn't really matter as much for the Chiefs. Like, they're not necessarily a team that I don't see them as a team that like needs home field advantage to win. You know what I mean? Or like needs to be able to play. I mean, obviously you'd rather play in front of the rabid Arrowhead Stadium fans, and playing at home and playing a shorter number of games is obviously easier. But they're just going to be, they're going to be in it and be a contender just because of the fact that Mahomes is going to be there. So anyway, you slice it, that's a team that's going to be a short list contender for the Super Bowl. But
their defense is back right now, so they need to fine tune some things on the defensive side of the ball, and it's not an easy division. The Raiders are 3-0. You have very, very tough division. There's a lot of good talent in there. Now the Chargers come away with a big win there.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, and obviously the Broncos now 3-0. They just absolutely waxed the Jets today. I mean, New York football could just not get any worse. Unless you're talking upstate football, they're doing quite well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but I was trying to think actually tonight which team is more pathetic right now, and you have to say the Jets just because they can't do anything on offense. But the Giants just are experts at finding ways to lose football games. It is scary how great they are at playing just good enough to lose.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a story that continually plays itself out for them. And you know, it also kind of goes to show you like the fine line between what is and what isn't a bad team in the NFL, and the moments in time with which you have to either make plays or, you know, not make plays. And, you know, we've seen this, you know, time and time again with other teams, and it's not like that's endemic to just the Giants. But, you know, again, today the Giants had a chance to catch a interception in the end zone on a drive where the Falcons were, you know, going to be scoring their first points of the game, and Adoree Jackson dropped it. And, you know, teams that make those particular plays are the teams that win the game. And it's not rocket science. It's not, the margin of error is not very wide. You know what I mean? Like, you need to make those plays when they present themselves to you. And it's heartbreaking for these teams when they come up short and they're that close, because that's kind of the nature of the NFL. They are all close by and large.
Well, my question for you about the Giants, and I was unfortunately, because I'm a psycho, I was in the building today, and I sat there and I watched it, and as soon as Atlanta got the ball back with 2 or 3 minutes to go, we left. I knew it was over. We knew the field goal was coming, and by the time we got to the car, it was game over. 3 seconds left. My question about the Giants is, and this is it's tough to say, and I don't want to be wrong about this, but is Saquon a bust? Or is he still
well, I thought he certainly looked better.
How many more weeks are we going to say he's coming over his injury? It's going to take a little time to get back into the groove, or is he's just not as good as we thought he was going to be?
Well, I mean, I think that there's like certain aspects of things that get a little bit blurred by, you know, other realities we've seen in the NFL. Like, you know, Adrian Peterson coming back from his knee injury was just insane, right? Like, he came back and basically put together a MVP type season, wire to wire, coming back from that knee injury. And, you know, that kind of warps your sense of what it is to really have to come back from these tough injuries. You know, Saquon Barkley, I thought, looked better in the second half today. You know, I think that there is going to be some time. I mean, talking about the Giants, a former Giant, you know, Odell Beckham, working through something similar where, you know, he's been kind of on and off the field after having a major knee surgery. So, you know, I think Barkley, it's fair to ask and wonder, you know, what's his future and upside maybe post-injury. But I did think he looked better in the second half.
Yeah, well, he looks real good getting 3 yards of carry. You know, he can't run between the tackles, and if he doesn't get to the outside, he's useless. So,
well, I mean, look, you have to be creative in the NFL and use your offense effectively. Use the weapons that you have effectively. Like, you know, I think of a guy like Aaron Jones in Green Bay. You know, obviously he's a very effective runner for them, and there's a reason why. I mean, he's got a lot of skill and a lot of talent, but they keep the defense off balance to an extent because of how effectively they use Aaron Jones as a pass catcher, for example. And I think that you saw that today with the Giants a little bit in the second half. They were working in more of that screen game. And, you know, that's a very effective thing for almost any offense, you know, that kind of misdirection, change of direction type stuff. The Falcons did it very, very effectively to basically put themselves, you know, almost in field goal range as soon as they got the ball at the end of the game, when they threw it, you know, fake the pass the one way and throw it back to Cordarrelle Patterson. You know, that was the game break right there. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that it's always tough when you're talking about a running back and just the propensity for injury. We've seen it time and time again, whether it's Todd Gurley, you know, even now, you know, Melvin Gordon, who's resurfacing in Denver. You know, you guys, you deal with these injuries, these knee injuries, any major injury for a running back, and it's hard to come back and be the same guy that you were. Maybe it's mental, maybe it's physical, maybe it's a combo of the two.
Well, right now I'm declaring him a bust. I need to see more. Evan Ingram is an absolute joke of a human being. He was booed throughout the entire game, and I think he was targeted twice, and he dropped 2 passes, and he was booed, and they took him out the very next play and got standing ovation when they took him out.
Yeah, no, I know that.
He is a major, major issue right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, the situation with the Giants is this. I think it's all bad. There is no upside to what's going on right there. You could basically say Daniel Jones has played pretty well this year, and that's it. That's more or less the only. Oh, and Azeez Ojulari, a rookie that they took out of Georgia, has 3 sacks. 3 sacks.
Is that the comedian?
Azeez Ojulari? No,
Yeah,
that's
he's on the track.
That's Aziz that's on Ansari. Aziz Ansari.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's the guy. By the way, I had a major issue today at MetLife Stadium.
Oh, what's that?
So when I go into these games, I like to leave my wallet in the car. I just bring in, like a money clip of cash.
Okay.
And I don't want to lose my license and my cards and everything like that. So I have my money clip, and I go into the game, and now I want to get a beer. So MetLife has gone completely cashless.
Wow.
They have these little kiosks that you put the cash in, and it prints out like a card, and then you can go use it at anywhere in the stadium.
Really?
Yeah, it's like they call it a reverse ATM. So anyway, right when the game started, I put money on one of the cards. I got 2 beers, one for me, one for the guy I was with, and no problem, very easy, worked out great. Then around halftime, right after the Eli ceremony, which we'll get into, I went to go get another beer. So I went to the machine and I put the money in, and the card never came out. So now I'm standing there, and I have to call guest relations. It was a whole process. I missed the entire third quarter. I didn't get by the time it was done, the beer concessions were done, so I couldn't even get a beer, and I missed the entire third quarter.
Wow.
I had to go all the way down into the bowels of MetLife Stadium for them to hand me a new card. Disaster.
So
Absolutely.
is that a coronavirus thing that they don't cash?
No cash.
Okay.
So I did see someone get arrested, and the 3 state troopers were, escorting this guy into custody, and he went dead. He went limp, and he just kept screaming that he had to go to the bathroom, and they demanded that they let him pee.
Okay.
No. He probably peed on. I don't know. 855-908-5668. 855-908-5668. Contending football on the Contender app, on YouTube and Facebook, and you can see us and you can hear us and colorcast, and we're casting, we're broadcasting, we're chatting. Another football Sunday in the NFL, Week 3, and the New York football teams are combined 0-6. What a great start to the season. And let me tell you something, Rangers hockey can't come fast enough. But today I mentioned that I was at Giant Stadium, and they honored the great Eli Manning today with a wonderful ceremony. Now, I hear that no one at home was able to watch it. Fox did not air the ceremony, which is crazy, especially that it was a local market game. It wasn't a national game. The Giants did a good job with this. They had his parents, Archie and his mom and his wife. His kids were all there, a lot of former players. And as he walked up to the podium, he had his offensive line lead the way, and he stood behind them. And then Sean O'Hara kind of helped MC it. They reenacted the David Tyree pass and the Mario Manningham pass from the Super Bowls. He got a raucous ovation. And when he went up into the Ring of Honor, it's right in our section. So it was literally above my head. Was the Eli Manning number 10 will always be there. They had a video message from Tom Coughlin, and the place went wild for that. Michael Strahan had a video message. I don't know where he was. Yeah, I guess he was out doing Fox.
LA.
LA. So he wasn't there for that. But they got nice ovations. And then the weirdest thing happened, James. John Mara, the co-owner of the New York Giants, got up to the podium to announce that they were going to retire number 10. No one's ever going to wear number 10 again on the Giants.
Yep.
And he was booed out of the building. Like angry, vitriol from the Giant faithful.
Yeah.
And I was stunned. I didn't understand it, and I don't like it.
Wait a minute. You were stunned by it?
Yes.
And you don't like it? You don't understand it?
Because it makes no sense to me. Okay.
How does it make no sense?
Why are you booing the owner? The owner, all he does is own the team. He don't do anything.
Make every major decision. He don't play the game. He doesn't come up with a game plan. He doesn't do any of that stuff. All he does is sign checks. And I never understand why. I mean, do you feel better? Like the guy's worth like $1 billion. He could give two craps whether you boo him or not. And you feel like a little satisfaction booing him? Okay, so
ridiculous.
Who chose to hire Gettleman? Who chose to hire Judge? Who chose McAdoo? Who chose?
By the way, I still am high on Joe Judge.
Why?
I think he's a good coach.
Based off what? Based off what?
First of all, the defense played a lot better today, and I think he's a good game plan. I think he's
against the Falcons.
Yeah,
they've had an awful offense. They haven't scored on anybody.
Well, I think he has some upside. You got to give it time. I like the culture. He says all the right things. The players said the right things after the game, so they're a work in progress. We'll see. We'll see if they quit.
I personally am not in a rush to see anybody get fired. I think that's how you become just a purgatory also ran dog crap team for the end of time. If you keep on doing that. But I mean, something's got to give, because I mean, John Mara is not going to be standing out there getting booed and going on. I don't even know what show he'll go on now. I was going to say Mike and the Mad Dog, but obviously that's not reality anymore. He's not going to go on.
You know what he said about getting booed? He said
that he would boo too.
He said we're 0-2. I would boo myself too.
Yeah, but he said it in that weird whisper way he has of talking. Yeah, if we were 0-2 and I was there, I would be booing too. I'd be booing too. He has that weird whisper way of talking.
Not like that though. That was very weird.
Yeah, it is.
That was very weird.
What's it called? Rob Dawson does a good John Mara, but that's kind of what it is. It's like this weird whisper. It's like that Joe Biden whisper that he does.
I mean, it's not like that. What you just did was a complete joke. It was like Hannibal Lecter. I don't know.
That's what John Mara basically is.
I don't think so. You got to go listen to.
Look, let me tell you something. I have zero problem with the fact that he got booed. Zero problem with it.
What do you get from that, though? It just makes no sense.
That's how fans.
Who the players? Evan Ingram, he deserved to get booed. I support him getting booed. I booed him. John Mara, I just don't see the point of booing him.
He hasn't been doing very well as an owner. That's the reality.
Okay. Maybe they'll change owners.
Well, obviously that's not going to happen, and that's why it's a shame as a sports fan when you have to deal with, bad ownership. And I mean, the Giants fan has been treated to basically thinking and feeling like they had good ownership for many, many years. And some of these other fan bases that have dealt with more, tumultuous ownership or absentee ownership or people that don't spend the money. I mean, that's kind of more rare in the NFL, I guess. But it's tough because there's not much you can do about it. There's not much you can do about it when your owner is not doing a good job. And I think that when you get,
you know what you should do? I would suggest, if I were you and you were displeased with John Mara, If you go at MetLife Stadium, they have a thing near guest relations, and there's a comment box. So you could write down your comment and then put it into that box, and then John Mara will get your comment and he'll read it, and then he'll address the issues that you have.
And he'll read it in a whisper.
That's
A slight whisper. I'm
A5.
John.
Do you have company?
Well, yeah. What do you mean, my fiance Chris?
I heard a ring doorbell. Is that? Oh, maybe that's out here.
No.
855-908-5668. 855-908-5668. The phone lines are now open. If you like the show.
Yeah, you heard them on the air before. So, I wanted to talk about something else when it comes to football and how it kind of played. Did you get in did you make it clear that you felt a certain type of way about the fans booing and you didn't like that?
I'm done with that. I'm good.
All right. The other big thing today was all these, and not just at the end of the Giants game, but all these field goals. We had Justin Tucker hitting, what was it, 68 yards? 66 as time expired to beat the Lions in just absolutely backbreaking fashion. Some controversy as well, because Lions fans say, and if the time on the TV was official, it really should have been a delay of game on the play before that. Ooh. Lamar Jackson took the snap, threw it out of bounds. 2 seconds were left on the clock, giving them enough time to kick it. And then it hit off the crossbar and went in, which was just incredible. We also had in the Jaguars and Cardinals game, the Cardinals went for a long field goal at the end of maybe that was the 68-yarder. I don't know. At the end of the first half. And the Jaguars took it all the way back for a touchdown, much like that game. Wasn't there a famous Auburn game where that happened?
Oh, the kick six?
Yes.
Yeah.
So just like that. And, it got me thinking.
1 second. 1 second left.
1 second left. It got me thinking that field goals, I think, are like overly maligned in football. Like everybody kind of is like very anti the kicker and they hate on kicking and you don't want kickers in fantasy football. And that's kind of like an outdated thing now and all this kind of stuff. But I think the field goal is a very special and it adds a lot of drama and intrigue, especially at the end of games, the end of halves. The field goal is a big part of football. And today was a great example of some of the more exciting aspects of it. Not like, the Falcons got into field goal range. Now they can bleed the clock and kick a field goal. That's that. But, you're talking a hit off the crossbar, kick in, time expiring, record-breaking field goal. That's drama.
So do you like field goals or you don't like field goals?
I do.
Okay. Well, who doesn't like field goals?
There's a lot of people who would say get rid of kicking altogether. They don't want field goals. Get field goals out.
Oh, kickoffs. Kickoffs should be eliminated from the game, not field goals. Nobody has a problem with field goals. You got to have a field goal kicker, but kickoffs should be done. There's no reason to have a kickoff anymore.
Why not?
Not one return today. All touchbacks.
Well, they did. Yeah, they made those rules.
There's no reason to do it. It's like, in baseball, they got rid of the intentional walk. There's no reason to throw those 4 pitches. Just go take your base. Same thing. Just give them the ball first down on the 25. Let's go. Enough.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, the way that they've changed the rules and made it so that it's so uncommon to actually have any kind of a return, I think I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. And really, the only reason why they still do it is because then they can take another commercial right after.
Right. That's very true. That was always a natural, break point where they would always do that and obviously still do.
Downfield goal, commercial, kickoff, commercial.
Yeah, so whatever. They should just do a double up. Have them come back, set the ball at the 20 and say, we'll be right back.
Yeah. I don't know. They'll figure it out, but they should. There's no reason to. I think it will. In a few years, we'll get rid of the kickoffs.
Yeah, probably true. 855-908-5668. Phone lines are open if you want to join us here on the Contending Football. I'm James Flippin. He's Joey Baboots. We're also on the Colorcast app, and you can chat us there if you want to on Colorcast. So ugly losses for our home cities, so to speak. Obviously, we broadcast and you can download our app, get local sports talk in both Chicago and DC. I guess first we'll just talk about WFT for a little bit. People have been waiting for this kind of game out of the Bills, ever since the season started, basically, because Josh Allen is just that dominant, especially when he gets things going. And at home, Allen is just kind of on another level. And they really took it to Washington today. It looked like it was going to be a total blowout early, and then WFT kind of came back. Heineke hit Gibson for a long touchdown pass, and that kind of looked like he gave him some momentum. But the WFT defense just never had any answer whatsoever for this Bills offense, and in particular Josh Allen. And, I think it's fair to say at this point, when you look at that DC situation, yeah, rough to lose Ryan Fitzpatrick early. The team kind of like built on having that veteran signal caller come in and solidify things, and you get that. Heineke didn't really play great today. He had a turnover at least at one point, maybe two. But this defense is just not living up to its end of the bargain.
No,
I mean,
it's terrible.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
So overrated. They barely got a pass rush on Thursday against the Giants. They had no answers in Buffalo today. And guess what? They're not who we thought they were. They're worse. They are a rough defensive unit right now. And you look back-to-back weeks, they let up a lot of points in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. And, they're not getting, like you said, they're not getting home on the pass rush. They have a lot of names along that defensive line, but they're not getting it done. And, I start to think about as the NFL changes, right? As football changes and as we have more and more of these mobile quarterbacks and fewer and fewer of these, pocket type passers that kind of just drop back and sit there in the pocket and hope for things to develop around them. Much more on the dual threat, mobile guys who can break the pocket type thing. Are some of these pass rushers almost becoming like overrated? Like the concept, you know what I mean? The concept of like a dominant pass rush. I just wonder if we're at the point now where the way the rules are predicated, you're not allowed to hit anybody without it being roughing the passer. Roll the pocket one way or the other. These guys can break the pocket and make throws on the run. It's almost like you need to just totally focus on having a lockdown secondary and as many different guys and pieces in the secondary as you possibly can to just try to match fire with fire on that side. Because, again, you look at like we talked a little bit about the Stafford and Brady game, Bucks and Rams. All kinds of points scored in that game, obviously, especially on the Rams side. And I think they said maybe there was 2 sacks in the game or something like that. Brady had been sacked a couple of times. So, these offenses are winning the war right now. And it's not just to, say, oh, there's no blame to be put on the WFT side, because clearly we were looking for them to be one of the top defenses in the league. But I don't know. It's just interesting to me how the league is changing, how that might kind of shift and tilt the balance of power into, let's just try to get as many secondary guys as we can in there and just kind of throw numbers at this whole problem. Because I just don't know if like maybe the days of a dominant hand in the dirt defensive end that's just going to totally blow up a passing game, I don't know if that's a thing right now.
No, and it's a combination of all what you just mentioned there. The rules definitely favor the quarterback and they favor the offense. You'll see the only time you really see pressure or sack has to be on a blitz. You're not seeing a team, rush 4 guys and get any kind of pressure. And, unless you're playing the Giants, when, you just go up against Nate Solder and you'll blow right by him every time. But, most offensive lines are able to move the pocket. They're just a step ahead now. And, you look at a guy like, Clowney or, some of these Donald, some of the prolific pass rushers, they're not putting up those same numbers that we saw 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago. There's no Michael Strahans or Tucks or Umanuras out there that are able to get home on their own. And, it's you don't see a lot of holding penalties anymore either, which is, I think they just let it go. I think basically you're just allowed to hold the guy now. Unless
you're right. Some of the more obvious ones, get called, and we know that the rules are going to be predicated towards offense. You know, that's been going on for a long time now. And the holding and blocking some of those guys, it's kind of impossible to do without holding, really. So you would be kind of calling it on every play, but they used to call it more often. I think you're right about that. And it's a tough road to hoe in the NFL right now, being a team that's built on like a dominant defense. And I do think that there's something to be said for those teams are going to click and take longer to click than, say, offensive minded teams that have been kind of running 7-on-7 drills all off season and have their timing more or less down from that type of thing. You don't hit in practice. Blocking and tackling is so germane to the game, but you don't practice it anymore. They barely wear pads anymore in the middle of the regular season. So it is tough for some of these defensive units. I mean, we certainly have not seen that out of WFT, and we kind of took it for granted that we would. I mean, I think everybody kind of thought, okay, this game today with the Bills should be close. The Bills are kind of still working out some of their kinks. WFT's been hanging around these games and obviously won a game they really shouldn't have against the Giants in week 2, but ugly for them today. And it goes to show you that they also, especially maybe without Fitzpatrick, are hurting it offensively too. Because, I mean, they don't really necessarily have an identity. I mean, Antonio Gibson had the long pass catch today for a touchdown, but I think he only ran for, I don't even know how many yards he ran for, but it was not impressive. It was like he had a yard per carry or something like that.
And Heineke can play a little bit, but he's not a franchise quarterback, so you get what you can from him. Just to go back to your point about the pass rush and the sacks and stuff like that, there was one player who actually did get sacked a lot today, to the tune of 9 times in his debut as a starter for the Chicago Bears, Justin Fields.
Yeah, it's actually kind of ironic.
He was sacked 9 times, and he completed 6 passes.
Yeah.
So that's how his day went in a 26-6 loss at Cleveland. Tough to start your career in the dog pound.
Yeah, I mean, that was always going to be a tough assignment, and it's kind of unfortunate, really, because the Bears fans were so, excited to get Fields in the first place, and I think that there's a lot of expectation and hope that they're going to finally have their guy at quarterback now, and they don't want to wait. They don't want to wait for Dalton or Foles or any of this stuff. We want to see the shiny new toy, and coming off a game in which he had to go in for Dalton on an injury relief, and now obviously Dalton couldn't answer the bell this time, so they decided to go with Fields midweek. It's a tough assignment. The Browns have a good defense. The Bears are not a very good team right now. Their offensive line, as referenced by the sacks that you read out there, is really, really bad. They used one of their high draft picks on a guy at tackle, Tevin Jenkins, who they counted on basically starting right away. And he's got a bad back, hasn't been able to get on the field. And, the Bears are another one of those teams that when you have that type of thing going on, bringing in a new quarterback, some issues with your offensive line, all that kind of thing, they don't really have an offensive identity either. So, yeah, that was very ugly today. And I think, Justin Fields will have better days in his career, obviously. But it's just a shame because there is no easy way to start a rookie quarterback. But that definitely was not an enviable assignment for him coming in here.
Right into the fire. Listen, it's going to be a bumpy road. I mean, not everyone has the luxury of being able to. I mean, look what happened with Zach Wilson again today. He didn't have another tough go as they were shut out. They weren't able to get anything going in Denver for the New York Jets. So, listen, being a rookie quarterback in the NFL is no easy assignment. I look at now a second-year player who struggled his first year, but is now coming into his own as a guy like Joe Burrow. And that was a big win today over the Steelers. The Steelers are one of those teams I cannot figure out. I don't like. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they this bad? I mean, I don't know which Steeler team we're going to get each week.
Yeah, they are kind of tough to figure out. I mean, I think that by and large, last year and even kind of recently for them, it's been kind of like inconsistency a lot of the time at the quarterback position. Now today, Roethlisberger threw the ball 58 times, and went for over 300 yards passing. They were behind early, and the Bengals had jumped out to a big lead, so I guess they didn't really have much of a chance from a game script perspective. But I think they would rather probably really feature and kind of run through Najee Harris, who carried the ball 14 times, only a 2.9 yards per carry average, which is not very good. But Najee Harris was very involved in the passing game, 14 catches over 100 yards.
Yeah, he had a big day in the air.
Like the guys that you're used to maybe seeing in the stat sheet for them, kind of quiet. Juju Smith-Schuster, only a 3-catch day. Deontay Johnson's hurt, so he wasn't playing for them. Chase Claypool had a big day. I don't know. See, the Bengals are a weird team too, because they kind of have some offensive playmakers that make you think, oh, they could put points up on the board any given week. Joe Mixon had a big day, 5 yards per carry, which is good for him, 18 carries. And then Jamar Chase, here's a guy who there was all this buzz preseason that he couldn't catch the ball and maybe his hands were going to be a problem. And, how good was the time off last year, a big problem for him and all this kind of thing. He was talking about the college football having the white line on it, and the NFL ball doesn't have the white line, so we can't see it or whatever. But I mean, he had 2 touchdowns today and he's been just fine. So yeah, I don't know. The Bengals, they're a tough team to figure out. I think the Steelers kind of are too. So measuring stick game for them, and obviously the Bengals came out on top this time.
855-908-5668, Contending Football here on the Contender app. You can download the Contender app in the App Store and Google Play, and you're watching us on Facebook and YouTube and Colorcast, and we're all over. We're just all over the place right now. You turn on your phone and you got Contending Football from 8 to 9 every Sunday night here on the Contender. Real quickly, because I do want to bring up something, but let's just run through these real quick. We did the Bill game. We did the Browns and the Bears. We talked about Justin Tucker's big field goal. Your boy today. I mean, Henry's unbelievable. He's 28 carries, 113 yards. You don't see that. You don't see that in football anymore. No one pounds the rock like they do, and why wouldn't you? And then he had like another 30 yards in the air. But Tennessee is one of those teams you can't sleep on. They're out of nowhere. I mean, they struggled for so many years, and then everyone thought Mariota was going to be the guy. And this resurgence of Ryan Tannehill, who's like the perfect guy for that team, because he really just has to not screw it up. And he tried to today. He threw 2 picks, but he had 3 touchdown passes. And just give the ball to Henry, play good defense, and they're going to be in every game. Yeah,
they had some rough injury stuff today. A.J. Brown had a hamstring, and he had to come out of the game. Julio Jones didn't finish the game for some reason, and Mike Vrabel was kind of like not clear as to why that was. I think he said it was like management or something like that. So I didn't know if he meant like load management, that whole term they use where you're trying.
Here we go. Load management.
I don't know. I'm not sure if that was what it was or not. But yeah, I like the Titans a lot. I think they're a team that definitely you have to look at as a legitimate Super Bowl contender because of the fact that Tannehill has rounded into form the way that he has. I like Vrabel. I think Vrabel's a good coach. And then Henry, obviously, that goes without saying. I mean, he's just a different guy. He's just a different breed. And obviously they sent the Colts to 0-3, which is not good for them. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that the Titans, that's a big win for them, and they just kind of keep rolling on.
Arizona had a big win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are now the front runners again to get the first pick. Trevor Lawrence, he had an okay day. He wasn't as bad as Zach Wilson's been, but it's another rookie quarterback that's going to be a work in progress.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, you know what I mean? Like he Did he have any picks again today? Yeah, he did. He had 2 picks again. So, very up and down for Trevor Lawrence. But like you said, he's a rookie.
Were you surprised how quietly the Patriots went down today?
Well, they really fell behind big early, and Mac Jones, at least I didn't see any of that game, but I know he didn't have a good stat line, and he had a couple pick. Oh, I did. I should say I saw one of the plays because I think they had a pick 6, right? I think the Saints took one back. And then, Jameis Winston hit Kamara early for a little pass across the middle for a nice touchdown. But yeah, the Patriots, I mean, look, we know that they're not going to be the dynamic offensive Patriots that we've seen in the past. Even if Mac Jones is able to kind of accelerate his learning curve here as a rookie quarterback, they don't have the high power offensive weapons for him to go out there and be putting up crooked numbers left and right. So, they're going to have to try to win defensively. They're kind of like a WFT in that respect, which is easier said than done, as we said. And it's a tough road to hoe for the Patriots, where you have a rookie quarterback, not a lot of offensive identity other than that, and it's tough to win games that way.
Yeah, they're gonna struggle, and it's again we're like beating a broken record here, but the rookie quarterbacks, and then Minnesota got a win at home against Seattle. Seattle's 1-2.
Yeah, and that was big. I mean, that was where Kirk Cousins played great at home. He's another one of those guys, kind of up and down. Seems to have a good game, bad game. And then I know. Let's talk about injuries. Seahawks had Lockett. He had a bad injury, and I don't know how badly he was hurt, but that's a big loss for them if he goes down.
Yeah.
Carson, I think, had an okay day on the ground, so it wasn't like the typical thing for the Seahawks where they weren't, running the ball at all. But yeah, they have a tough. They're sort of trying to figure things out too. But that was a good win for the Vikings, because I think that they're another one of those teams where Cousins is good enough to make a run, and we've seen that out of him. The question is, can you kind of stay in it enough to not bury yourself early? And obviously they didn't fall to 0-3. They got the win today. So that's a big, kind of right the ship moment for Minnesota.
Well, they also need to make field goals. Going back here, they need Minnesota has had a rough luck with late field goals in big games. So they'll have to figure that out. Now, I have found the solution to all of our problems. By the way, I have to be honest, I didn't watch any other games today other than the Giant game. And I was streaming from the stadium when I was bored during the Giant game, the Ryder Cup. So shout out Team USA. Absolutely demolished the Europeans today. Absolutely demolished. 19-9 was the final score.
Wow.
And a very, very impressive performance there. So that was awesome. But if I was going to watch football all day, I always like to go with the Red Zone. I'm a big fan of the Red Zone.
Yeah.
I think the Red Zone's great. But the Red Zone could be so much better. Who's the guy that hosts it now?
Scott Hansen.
Scott Hansen. He's great. I don't want to take anyone's job away from them. But I'm sorry, Scott Hansen. I need wall-to-wall, 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock, Peyton and Eli Manning breaking down the games on the Red Zone channel every Sunday. That's what I need. Give me that in my life, and I will watch football all day. Just me, Eli, Peyton, some guests. Let's have some fun and break down the games.
Yeah, that I could see that. That actually, maybe not Eli and Peyton, because they're busy. They have another gig with the ESPN Monday Night thing.
Just after this year, leave Monday Night Football, go to the Red Zone. That's what we need. Yeah,
that could be good. The one thing about that I don't know if that would work exactly is that you kind of need a little bit of broadcaster chops to do that, because they're going from this game to this game to this game to this game.
Peyton could do that.
Peyton could do that. Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know. It might take away from it though a little bit because like, you want them to be able to actually dig into the game, like they like the situation of the game. It's not just like, oh, the breaking news ticker of like this guy scored, then this guy scored, then this guy scored. You see the big plays with red zone, but you don't necessarily see what leads up to it.
Yeah. And it's just great. And I love when they have the guests on. Usually guests stink. These guests are good because they're actually, they have a good rapport with them. Some of them were awful, but like Brett Favre wasn't very good. But
you're talking about the actual Monday night thing that they do.
Yeah. I the last 2 weeks I watched their broadcast over the actual game.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't see it week 1, the Eli and Peyton thing, but I did watch it last week, and I'm a fan. I'll definitely keep going back to it because I've largely had it with the traditional broadcast. You know what I mean? Like even today, you were at the game for the Giants. I watched the Giants game on Channel Channel 5, and Jonathan Vilma was doing the color with Kenny Albert, and Kenny Albert's fine, but it's just like that this color stinks. It's so generic. It's so like kind of just like cliche, very reactionary to whatever we just saw. It's like, yeah, we watched the same play, man. You know what I mean? Like we saw the same exact play.
Did you?
Huh?
Did you though?
What do you mean?
Like, who do you think is going to know more about the scheme and what's going on?
No, I understand that, but see, that's what I'm talking about. There isn't any of that, and maybe it's just the structure of the broadcast. It moves too fast. You're going from this play to this play, then they want to put a graphic up. Then they want to have like the game break from Los Angeles, and you got to get to this commercial and all this kind of thing. But you just don't get any of that in-depth analysis. That's part of what I really dig about the Monday night thing. Nobody's getting in their way. It's just two guys kind of on a Zoom call that obviously know way more about football than I ever will, and they're imparting that knowledge on the audience. When you watch the traditional game broadcast now, everything is so structured and tight, and there's little vignettes and Pat bringing in all the time that these color guys, even if they do have something to offer, they're not offering it, and it's boring as hell, and it's so cliche and so gray and bland and just like So I really found it very refreshing to watch the Eli Peyton one because it's like, yeah, this is me actually getting something out of this as a listener, as a viewer.
The best football broadcast team is not an NFL team. They do college. So, and actually they did a game last year and it was fantastic. And that's Fowler and Herbstreit. Those two are the best.
Yeah, you're a big Fowler and Herbstreit guy.
Yeah, because they're the best broadcast booth right now. No questions asked. Romo's good. I like Romo.
So do you have any intrigue for looking ahead to next week a little bit? Any intrigue in the Tampa Bay New England Patriots matchup?
I mean, I think naturally there has to be some intrigue. This is going to be the first time they play each other.
Yeah.
And how do you think Bill's going to feel when Brady gets just the loudest ovation when he walks out of that tunnel?
I mean, honestly, I would imagine probably pretty good. I mean, he had a hand in a lot of what those cheers are all about. He has good feelings about those teams, and I would think good memories, and And
it's no shock that that's Sunday Night Football. So,
right.
The problem is the game's going to suck. Tampa Bay should romp.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I was kind of alluding to when I was like, "Yeah, you have any intrigue?" Because it's like, yeah, the game is not going to be any good. So
and Gronk spike in the Patriot end zone, he would love that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be must watch. It's a must watch game next week. It's I didn't even really look at the Giants play the Saints. Oh God. I got to go back there in a couple weeks.
What, to MetLife?
I think I'll go one more game and then that's it.
Yeah, I mean, look, coming into this game, obviously Joe and I are both Giants fans. I was texting with my cousin who is a Giants fan, and I said, look, this game, either they're going to lose and you basically just rip the Band-Aid on another waste of a season. Just, Gettleman's going to get fired, this, that, the other, maybe Judge, who knows, I think we're both on the same page. So we hope not, but maybe. And I said, you rip the Band-Aid, as opposed to if they won, which I really thought they would. I figured they'd win on like a last second field goal from Graham Gano for them, in typical Giants fashion. You got to win or lose in kind of like nail biting fashion. But that was not to be on the win side. And so, you rip the Band-Aid, you know your team stinks. And now you can kind of enjoy the rest of the league and just kind of take in the National Football League, as it were.
Yeah, that doesn't really excite me. So it's only good when your team plays. 855-908-5668. 855-908-5668. We probably missed a couple calls at the beginning of the show because he didn't have the phone up, but that's okay.
Yeah, probably. That was probably the problem.
People
I'm sure.
They set the timer for 8 o'clock. Want to get first in the queue.
And they said, what's happening? Why is this?
Why am I getting a busy signal?
Yeah.
But,
it's unreal.
Yeah, and I didn't want to give an update. Hold on. Now I just lost it. Give me 1 sec. Hold on.
Packers.
Yeah.
Packers are leading 10.
Tell you what, the Rodgers got pissed off last week when everyone was talking shit after the game they played against the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
And in that second half, he was on fire. And he came out slinging it tonight. 9 for 9, 127 yards to start the game. So
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty incredible what he can do when he gets rolling and when he's on his game. We know that, and for him to be doing it, going up against San Francisco on the road. I mean, Green Bay is a team that, because of Aaron Rodgers, really, they're a chance to go all the way. And Devontae Adams already 4 of those catches for 29 yards. So, I'll be watching with intrigue how the game goes. But I think San Francisco, I mean, talk about banged up. What are they under, like 7th running back now? I mean, I think Mitchell really played today, but I don't know if he's actually doing anything. Elijah Mitchell. But tough go injury wise for them. It looks like they're not getting much of anything on the ground right now. Trey Sermon, one carry for negative yardage. Yikes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something. That hour flew by. We want to thank everyone for joining us this evening on Contending Football. We will be back next Sunday at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. And we'll have much more. We should have a guest next week. Are you going to watch? So you'll watch the Manning brothers tomorrow night?
I will. I'll watch the Manning brothers tomorrow night. I'll enjoy their banter. I'm sure there'll be some discussion of Eli's retirement, his number retirement, I should say.
Yep.
And probably some discussion of that awful Giants game as well. Maybe they'll ask him about John Mara being booed.
Maybe. And, that game is for first place in the NFC East tomorrow night. Wow.
Yeah, hey, how about that? Another banner year in the NFC East. So, all right, look, for Joey Baboots, I'm James Flippin. This is Contender Football. We hope you will download the Contender app and check us out next week on Sunday night. And we say goodbye to the various platforms that we're also broadcasting on, such as Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Good night, everybody.
Ciao.